Hello. So this is going to be a very small cabin build. I'm just laying out the rough pieces that I need. The reason you can see writing on those pieces, this is 3 centimeters and I think it's 5 centimeters the other way, is I actually measured this out for another build. I was about to make a Victorian street scene and I didn't get a chance. It was a bit too involved for what I was trying to get into this week, so I decided to reuse the pieces that I'd measured for that particular scene and just use it for this. So this is going to be the front of the cabin. This is just regular double wall cardboard. This is from a printer, I think, the printer that we bought. So I just kind of chopped it up and used it for that. This is PVA glue, or Elmer's glue as you call it in America, and I'm just spreading it neat straight onto the cardboard, and then in a second you'll see me spreading it out with a brush. The top left hand corner you'll see those kind of like shredded brown bits of cardboard. That's single wall cardboard, like a cereal box type stuff, and you'll see how I make that in a second. That's what I'm going to use for the wood effect, the wood panel effect for the cozy cabin. Some people I know will cut those pieces up and then glue them to the kind of main portion of the building and then paint them afterwards. I tend to paint them first. So I'll slice them up, which you'll see in a few minutes, and then I'll paint them, and then I'll glue them to the structure that I'm using. The reason I do that, I think you don't have to be as careful with the paint. If you put them on blank, unpainted, and then paint them afterwards, you have to be quite accurate with each panel. I prefer to do it this way. That way you can kind of make them a bit messy, and if they don't work out you can just kind of rip one off and then replace it with something else. This is kind of a tricky part of the build, because basically you're trying to get something very thin with not a lot of surface area to stick to Elmer's glue, so it tends to want to slide away rather than stick. But you can't use hot glue. I mean, you can use hot glue, but you're going to use tons of hot glue to stick this stuff down, because you need the whole surface, that back surface of the panel, to stick. The other reason I tend to paint these wooden planks, wooden panels, as you can see there, that one's a bit darker than the rest. I tend to mix different colours, like I've put some darker like black ones in there, some lighter kind of greyish ones. If you paint them individually you can do that quite easily. If you glue them to the surface and then paint them, it's really, like I said, it's fiddly to kind of distinguish which one you're going to have, a lighter or darker. I just like it. I like to make it look like it's random, like the person who built the cabin is basically just, grabbing reclaimed lumber and just throwing it up there. As you can see, I've got a bunch of glue on the front. It doesn't matter. It's Elmer's glue. It'll dry clear. Plus it's cardboard, so the majority of it will soak in. I've made panels this way, like for log cabins and wooden structures and wooden buildings. I haven't yet to this date used too much glue. You can quite literally just put as much glue on as you want and it'll just kind of soak it up. This is how I'm making the panel. So this is single wall cardboard, like cereal box cardboard, and I'm making the planks. I'm literally just freehanding. They're roughly, I think, 5 or 6 millimeters thick or wide, whichever you want to, however you want to measure it. So yeah, I'm just kind of like eyeballing it and going through. This is another panel, probably the back of the cabin. And again, you can see top left, I've now got quite a few wooden planks made up, and they dry pretty quickly. Again, you can soak them in paint, and because they're cardboard, they'll dry probably within the hour. The only problem, as you can see, is they curl up, so that's where you get the sliding around. When you try and put them onto the surface, they will kind of slide around a bit. What I tend to do is I'll grab them and I'll kind of roll them around my finger the opposite way a little bit to kind of bend them the opposite to the way they're curling. That sometimes works too. I'm basically going to repeat this process for the 4 sides of the cabin, and the roof I've decided to use a different technique. The roof I actually used, well, I tried to create a kind of tiled effect. I'm not too sure it worked out as well as I wanted, but this cabin is a first for a lot of reasons. I've done this particular technique quite a lot, but I haven't made the roof tiles as much as I should have before I tried it on this little cabin. You'll see that in a short while. Again, as you can see, quite a lot of glue on top. Doesn't make any difference, it'll just soak in. Also, you can see the different coloration of the wooden planks, which again is really easy to do when you paint them separately. If you put them on, then paint them, much harder. This is an old taco box. Same thing. It's pretty much the same as a cereal box. Any food box is usually single wall, thin, so you can use that for the kind of thinner applications. Just putting a little bit more brown paint in there and adding a little bit of black. There's also some grey. I'm now attempting to make the roof tiles, and I'm just literally putting different shades of grey, black, brown, etc., and then just getting a sponge, regular household sponge, and kind of dabbing it. I'm now putting a lighter grey on top, and that's all the pieces set out. So the pieces are all dry now, and I'm just trimming off the excess. Another really good part of this technique is that you can just trim the bits off that you don't need. I'm now attempting to make the roof tiles, so again I'm just kind of eyeballing it, 5 or 6 millimeters, maybe a bit more, and just getting a ruler and then slicing it, and now I'm chopping it into roof tile size pieces. This hot glue gun is terrible. I bought it. I had a really good hot glue gun back in the UK, and obviously I didn't bring it with me when I moved to America, but this glue gun was from Dollar General, I believe, and it's terrible. It kind of gunks up if you leave it for a while, so you have to constantly keep unplugging it, plugging it in, unplugging it. It's a nightmare. And as you could see at the first shot there, you get like a big build-up of hot glue inside the nozzle, and it'll just kind of, yeah, it'll kind of gum up, and it's completely useless. Either that, or it'll sit there and just weep hot glue. So you'll put like a stick in it, and you'll sit it there for 10 minutes while you're doing something else, and you'll go back and the glue's just completely run out. It'll just weep glue out the bottom. I'm now just putting some hot glue on those upright structures, and then I'm going to attempt to fit the roof panels. Again, this is a really rough build. As you can see, there's no real measurement going on. There's huge gaps in the structure. It's not fitted at all correctly. I'm literally just guessing at how big things should be, and then throwing a load of glue into it and hoping that fixes it. I'm now putting regular Elmer's glue on the roof, and again I'll brush this in. This actually works surprisingly well. Again, I've never done this before, but this worked. This technique actually worked. I thought, because of the sliding situation with the wooden planks, I thought these tiles were going to keep sliding around. It didn't slide around at all. It's totally fine. So yeah, I was well happy about that. Very happy. And again, I painted the roof tile kind of pieces in all these different kind of colours, and then painted them beforehand before I glued them on. I didn't want to do what I did before when I'd made something similar and stick them on there and paint them. You see, you can get like a bunch of different coloration if you just throw them on plain and then paint them. Doesn't work out as well, I don't think. I'm now making the windows just popsicle sticks. I'm not measuring, just eyeballing it, offering it up, put a little black mark on it, snap it off, a little bit of sandpaper, and just sanding it down so it's so it fits a bit tighter, and then just a dab of hot glue and then straighten. More Elmer's glue on the side, and I'm just getting some more of those wooden planks that I made, and I am just covering up the holes where the double wall cardboard kind of gap is. Trim the roof bits. I did the same on the roof as well. Just put some more of those wooden planks up there. Hot glue, and then some more of those wooden planks, and I just kind of offered one up to see if it would work, and it did. I pushed it up a little bit and then added more glue to the back of it, and then in a second I'm going to put the other section on and then just kind of pinch it together at the top. I need a better light to make these models because the top roof bit actually looked pretty good, and then I turned the light on in the other room and it was like terrible. You could see like the red the red printer box underneath. Making the door frame now. Again, just popsicle sticks, a little dab of hot glue, and just shoving it in there. I think a lot of these videos are, they're very good at like showing how people are very good with technique and very good with you know, the different kind of skills they have. I don't really have a lot of skill, I just like to build stuff, and I really want to just show people that you don't need to measure, you don't need to, you really don't have to think about it too much. You can just grab a bunch of basic materials and build something. Are you going to win awards? Probably not, but you can still build stuff. And I actually couldn't figure out at this point if I should leave the popsicle sticks unpainted because it looked kind of cool, or if it did literally look like popsicle sticks. So I just painted them brown. The door I wasn't happy with at all. I initially wanted to do wooden panels for the door like I did for the rest of the cabin, but I thought I'll paint it and see how it looks. And it wasn't until I kind of assembled the whole thing I was like, oh, I wish I'd have put panels on the door, but it's okay. It is what it is. It kind of looks interesting. It looks like, I don't know, maybe it looks like the door has kind of fallen off and they've replaced it with like a cheap plywood door and just painted that. I don't know. It looks alright. But if I do another cabin, I'll definitely make a regular like door with wooden panels. And yeah, I got to the bit where I'd finished the painting of the windowsills and the door, and then I was like, oh, you can't really see the door. So I just got some light grey paint and went around the frame, which again doesn't make any sense. Why would the frame be grey? But it's a rustic cabin. I'm hoping people are going to look at it and go, oh, someone's just kind of thrown it together to go live in the woods for a bit. The initial idea was to build this on the wooden base, but it wasn't quite big enough. So I thought, oh, I'll just use some foam core. But then I was worried that because of all the glue I'm about to add and baking powder, that it would kind of start to curl up or something. So I glued the foam core to the wood to kind of make sure it didn't curl up. That telephone pole is just a straw. It's a drink straw. I think it's from Bucky's. So I just the top bit where the telephone line goes from to the house to the cabin is, believe it's a, oh man, I can't remember what it was now. I think it was an old paperclip, like a jumbo paperclip. I just kind of snapped it off with the pliers and just pushed it through. I heated up the end of the metal, and then just kind of pushed it through the straw to the other side, then bent both sides up. And now I'm just painting it. The lights you can see on the foam core on the base, they're just cheap lights from Dollar General, I think, or Dollar Tree. Cost like $1.50. I made a hole in the side of the straw, poured one of the lights through, kind of angled it down, and then made a shade out of paper or cardboard. I wish I'd have actually toned down the light, because you'll see later when I put that lamp on, the one that's on the telephone pole, it's kind of bright compared to the rest of the lights. That's why I've wrapped tape around the lights to kind of dim them a little bit, because they were too bright. These figures are from Dollar Tree again. You get 3 figures for $1.50 and 3 trees for $1.50. So I spent like $3. And these were the reason I actually came up with the idea for the cabin. I was thinking of a build. What could I do? What could I build? I saw these cabins, I saw these figures for dirt cheap. I was like, huh. They kind of look like those little figures you get from Michael's, but they're like $10 each, I think, at Michael's. They're really expensive, so I thought, well, maybe I can do something with these guys. The trees are actually quite good quality, and quite well painted for what they are. $1.50. Just getting a load of glue off there. At this point, I realised that the telephone pole didn't have like a little thing at the top, so I just rolled up some tape, made a hole in the middle, and then I put a dab of Elmer's glue on, and then just shoved it on there, and it will dry off and it'll be fine. Telephone pole, telephone wire, go straight to the cabin, around that little metal post, down the side of the cabin, and inside. Just using a bit of Elmer's glue to make sure that sticks to the post. I'm now gonna squirt some Elmer's glue into a yogurt pot full of water. Well, it's about a quarter full of water, and this is just baking soda. I'm just literally throwing baking soda on the model, and then using a straw to suck up, putting my thumb on the end of the straw, sucking up the kind of Elmer's glue water mixture, and then I'm just gonna let it go, stick it all over the baking powder, and it will soak through and dry completely hard, so it gives a kind of a snow effect. I'm sure there are better ways to do it, but again, I've never done this before. This is just the first time I've made artificial snow. And this is the roof line, just painting Elmer's glue and then sprinkling baking soda on there, or baking powder, whichever you want to use. The cool bit about that is that you just kind of, if it falls off, it goes right onto the bit you've already made at the bottom, so it soaks into the floor. It's just extra snow. Same again with the roof line, just paint a few tiles with Elmer's glue, sprinkle on some baking soda, and let it dry in. And that's it. We are complete. Took about two days, not complete days, just 2 or 3 hours per day. And that's it. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.